Brewster here with a new episode of Chordplay. This is the chords of David Lee Roth, and just to clear the air at the start of this video, we're going to be looking at music and chord-based and rhythm guitar examples from David Lee Roth's solo output, and not chords and rhythm work from David Lee Roth himself, because historically speaking, he would come out in concert and play, rhythm parts for Ice Cream Man and other songs on either acoustic guitar or his custom-made Dave Sickle guitar. So there's no Dave Sickle in this episode. Sorry. So as far as the David Lee Roth band itself, the band that formed after he left Van Halen, somewhere around 1985, David Lee Roth started to kind of inch away from Van Halen. He released his EP, Crazy from the Heat, which I think that actually just had session and studio musicians on it. But then he formed his own band with Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette on drums. Great band. And then, they released a couple albums. Eat 'Em and Smile, of course, had that lineup. Skyscraper was modified. Billy was out of the picture. And then after Skyscraper, of course, Vai left. Jason Becker came in. And there's been a revolving cast of characters, in his band since then. But without question, those early albums from David Lee Roth's solo material are awesome. Then as far as the guitarists that have worked with David Lee Roth, either in the studio, as a session musician, or in his band and toured, there's an assortment of great guitarists that have worked with him. Steve Vai, of course, Jason Becker, of course, John Five, Joe Holmes. There's a whole bunch of players. Steve Hunter. But here's an image, showing some of the guitarists that have worked with David Lee Roth, like I said, either in the studio or in his band. So the chord-based and rhythm guitar examples in this episode came from 3 different David Lee Roth solo albums. And I wanted to remind everybody this is Chordplay, so I'm focusing on chords and uncovering, interesting or unusual chord voicings or progressions or just something different happening with chords. So I'm not worried about hits or, famous songs or whatever. We're looking at chords. So here we go. With the opening, that's the eternal classic Goin' Crazy from Eat 'Em and Smile. Steve Vai on guitar. And Steve's doing this plucky, finger-picked idea. It's really unusual, but really cool, like this. Or something like that. So it's finger-picked, and you can think of this kind of picked, approach. Think of little guitars from Van Halen, Come Again from Damn Yankees, maybe For Those About to Rock from AC/DC, and you'll find lots of examples of this. So it's in the key of D, and basically Steve's doing this implied D sus4 to D major with this kind of lazy slide right there in the beginning, like that. And then single notes, E to A, and then a 5th fret double stop there on the B and the high E. And then 2 sets of double stops there on the D and the G and the 7th fret to 5th fret. And then slide double stops on the A and D, 7th fret to 5th fret. Like that. So it's a slide, 2 single notes, 3 sets of double stops, and then slid double stops. And when you slide that double stop down to the 5th fret, it changes into a little part of D major. It's kind of weird the way it changes from D major into a C5 power chord right there. And then go back to that little D sus, to D major slide. And then the second time it has this rhythmic kind of turnaround or hiccup because it just rushes right through the whole thing. The first time it has a couple little stops, like right there, and then the second time just go straight through without the stop. It's kind of weird. The second time's like the third time's like the first time. And then the last time, just cruise through it again. And then I'm hearing that G to A slide and then a D chord. And of course it goes into another little finger plucked area right there. But that's a really famous intro and kind of elusive, until you really get in there and see what Steve's doing. Great guitar part. Next up's the song Big Trouble, which is also from Eat 'Em and Smile. I think this is one of my favorite David Lee Roth band songs. Great solo from Vai in this song. And after the octave-based intro, there's this cool chord riff like this. So it actually starts with this. That's a really crafty C sharp minor 7 right there. You can definitely think of the Spanish Castle Magic, you know, Hendrix chord, like the C sharp 7 sharp 9, like that. But we're not playing the major third, it's all minor 7 right there. So C sharp minor 7 like this. And there's your implied C sharp minor 7. You know, the C sharp E and that B note, and then you're playing the open B and the open high E too. So you got this really cool, like, dreamy chord right there. And then you hear this kind of funky single note action. And you're just kind of playing like the top 2 strings open and then playing with that F sharp and G sharp there. This really crafty fill here. So it's kind of like, it gives a squeal on that note too. Really cool guitar part, and check out Big Trouble. That's a smoking tune. Next up's the song Hot Dog and a Shake from the album Skyscraper. Once again, still Steve Vai on guitar. And is this song actually about hot dogs and milkshakes? I think David Lee Roth might have wrote these lyrics, you know, while he was waiting for lunch or something. Weird concept for a song, but a cool guitar part like this. That. So you got this eternal scrape slide thing, a pick scrape and then a finger slide like that. A power chord, and then E to F sharp, and then this really cool little fill right there, and then go to a D power chord, some harmonics there, Van Halen approved. And then A to B, and then slide into a B octave way up there. Next up's the song Two Fools a Minute. This also came from the album Skyscraper. Kind of an odd song, but I love this guitar riff. It's so cool. Or something like that. So we're in G or G7 right there, and he starts off kind of spelling out this G5 power chord like that, and then this little partial G7 with the hammer on between the minor and major third, like that, like that, and then start banging that partial G7. So hit it twice and then spell it out. And then you can do this a couple different ways. I was doing pull-offs, but it also sounds like it might be slides right there. So either way, you're kind of moving your way into this partial C9, and then you're going to go to this F power chord, open up that low E string, and then climb up F sharp to G. Like that. Such a cool riff. And he's got that crazy kind of fill there at the end, which is weird. Next up's the song at Showtime. This came from the album A Little Ain't Enough. This is Jason Becker on guitar. And I changed guitars because this is tuned down a half step, and Jason's doing this hyperactive hybrid picking. Really cool, like this. Something like that. So it's an A, and we're doing this, open A and then pulling off C to A, and then you're going to fret A there on the G string and then pull that off to the open G, and then C to C sharp to the open A. And there's also a double stop right there too, like a... G to the open A. And then here you're doing, so it's all against that open A. So a lot of A right there. And then this is like a partial, you know, C major. And then D major right there. So really slow. It definitely has a flow to it, or groove, you know, once you kind of get it going there. Just kind of do that C action and then D, D sharp to E, and it goes in the verse. Cool guitar part. All right, last but not least is the song Damn Good. This came from the album Skyscraper, and this is actually a 12-string acoustic and a sitar, and I don't have a 12-string or a sitar, so I'm just playing this on a 6-string acoustic, but it's in drop D, and something like this. Drop D, and he starts with this, right? So the open D, and then you're hammering on. It's technically a G to an A because we're in drop D, like that. Grab the open D string and then play that low E again, open, right? And then play the open A, and then a little part of this A minor 7 right there, like that, and let all that ring open. Then you're hearing the slide, kind of a shift. So you're really just taking that little part of A minor 7 and just moving it up a whole step, right? And if you relate this to D, that's kind of like a D sus2, sus4 right there, which is a really cool chord. Picking pattern changes ever so slightly. The first time it's like, and then the second time check out Damn Good. There's some great chord work in there, like some of that stuff, like a D major 7 there, or I guess C major 7 over D. Definitely a cool song, great guitar, parts, and I love when Steve Vai plays kind of, different or unusual parts like that. All right, that's going to wrap this episode of Chordplay with the chords of David Lee Roth. Definitely a lot of great music to be found on his solo albums, great guitarists, great licks and riffs and solos and stuff. A lot of great music flying around there for sure. And the year, 1986, kind of interesting because, of course, Van Halen released 5150, a phenomenal, Van Hagar album. And then David Lee Roth, issued Eat 'Em and Smile, another great album. And you could kind of feel that tension or competition between those two camps because, his former band Van Halen had Sammy Hagar on vocals, and 5150 kicks ass for sure. But so does Eat 'Em and Smile, so it's really hard to declare a winner when two albums, with related band members and musicians, two albums are issued or released and they're both great. And it's kind of hard to say, well, 5150's better, or Eat 'Em and Smile's better. I mean, they're both great albums, so I don't really want to get into an argument about which album's better, which album sold more, but there's something about Eat 'Em and Smile. You can feel that pressure or that energy from Steve Vai. He knew he was filling Van Halen's shoes. And he had to hit every, guitar solo and lick out of the park, on that album. And you can hear it, that pressure and that energy and that drive. I love that record. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to my lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.